Welcome to the Congressional briefing, Escalating Atrocities Against Christians in Burma. We're glad to have you join us this afternoon. We have several special guests that we'll be introducing as we go through the program, but I do want to recognize Vice Chair Frederick Davey from the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. Happy to have you with us. My connection to Burma comes through my faith. As American Baptists, we've had a 200-year relationship with the people of Burma, plus 200 years plus. Personally, I've been able to visit twice and once to the Chin State. So I've been able to see the beauty of the before and then certainly the tragedy of the after and what's continuing to happen. So happy to be here and share in this day as we talk about these things and look for ways that we can come alongside and care and encourage and walk with these people that are struggling. First, we're going to hear opening remarks by Reverend Tim Siemens. He's the chairman of the Chin Association of Maryland.
Well, good afternoon, and welcome on behalf of the Chin Association of Maryland. So glad that you could be here. I really want you to know the significance of your being here. When we share with the people who are in Burma, that you were here as a part of this briefing, it would be a great encouragement to them, a great encouragement. So I really appreciate you being here. As was said, I am the chairperson of the board for the Chin Association of Maryland, and then I recently retired pastor for 35 years in Maryland as well. I've had the opportunity also to visit the Chin State, go and spend time with families there, and then recently in March I was in Missouri where we were checking on just what were the needs of the refugees and the IDPs who were there. I just want to thank you again for all of you being here. And our purpose today is that since the coup in February of 2021, the Burmese military, or Tamada, has escalated its persecution of Christians across Burma by burning churches, targeting pastors and other religious leaders for arrest, arbitrary detention, imprisonment, and killing. While the United States has determined that the Tamada has committed genocide against the ROHINGYA, this briefing aims to highlight the plight of Christians in Burma so that the international community, and especially Congress and the administration, does more to hold the Tamada accountable. Thank you.
Our next panelist is Commissioner Stephen Schneck with the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom.
Thank you. First, let me say what an honor it is to be with such a distinguished group of people this morning, all here bearing witness to the horrors taking place in Burma, and all here out of great concern for the refugees from that situation. As you just heard, my name is Stephen Schneck. I'm a commissioner on the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, or USRF. I was appointed to this position last year by President Biden. The Commission is an independent, bipartisan U.S. government advisory body created in 1998 by the International Religious Freedom Act, or IRFA, as it's called. Our mandate is to monitor religious freedom abroad using international standards, such as the UN Charter on Human Rights and so forth, to make policy recommendations to the United States President, Secretary of State, and to Congress. And before I continue or go much further, I'd like to thank all of the organizers of this event this afternoon, including the International Campaign for the ROHINGYA, Campaign for a New Myanmar, the Burma Advocacy Group, Both People SOS, JUBILEE Campaign, 21 Wilberforce, and the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. Your tireless efforts to raise the profile of human rights violations in Burma both informs and inspires our work on the Commission. USRF has monitored conditions in Burma since 2000 and has consistently and continually recommended its designation as a country of particular concern, or CPC, which is our absolute worst rating possible that we could offer a country in regards to the issue of religious freedom or belief. That CPC status is based on countries that engage in systematic, egregious, or ongoing violations of religious freedom. While USERF's mandate focuses solely on conditions of religious freedom, we also recognize that in countries like Burma, there is often significant overlap in ethnic and religious identity. And by extension, the challenges that ethnic and religious minorities face, on which I am sure the panelists around me will elaborate. Throughout the 20-plus years that USERF has monitored Burma, and especially since the 2021 coup, we have consistently highlighted how the Burmese military, and now also the State Administrative Council, or SAC, have targeted ethnic and religious minorities to maintain their grip on power and in pursuit of the Buddhist nationalist vision for Burma. Long before the March 2022 Rohingya genocide designation, USERF had argued to the administration to make exactly that determination for the atrocities that the Burmese authorities had committed against the Rohingya community, particularly since 2017. We have also argued for concerted intervention and support of accountability for the SAC and the Tatmadaw, such as through ongoing international legal efforts at the International Criminal Court and the International Court of Justice. We also continue to urge that the US Congress and the Biden administration support efforts to provide more resources to care for refugees from Burma, who are scattered in desperation throughout South and Southeast Asia. Last November, I had the personal opportunity to lead a USERF delegation to visit the Rohingya refugees in Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh, and to meet with many of the international agencies caring for them. Although all of these interlocutors stressed serious funding shortages, which have only worsened since then. I myself witnessed some really deplorable security situations in that camp. Also on that trip, I had the opportunity to meet with Zomi refugees, Catholic Zomi refugees in Malaysia. We cannot forget them as well. In fact, we cannot forget the million of Rohingyas in those camps. Neither should we forget the hundreds of thousands of other Burmese people, including the Chin, Zomi, and Kachin, in neighboring countries, including India, Malaysia, Thailand. I should note that many of these countries, sadly, are not party to the 1951 Refugee Convention, and as such, have done little and have no international obligation to refugees or asylum seekers. As a result, the condition for many of these refugees, as you all know, is horrible. In addition to these long-standing concerns, we at USERF have also followed with deep concern the increasingly aggressive tactics that the SAC appears to be leveraging against religious and ethnic minorities who remain in Burma. As the panelists will discuss at greater length, the SAC is clearly pursuing a policy of scorched earth brutality throughout the predominantly Christian states, escalating in its use of violence against churches and villages. We've seen the airstrikes, we've seen the attacks on the ground. The SAC is increasingly desperate and apparently willing to cause unfettered mass destruction in order to maintain its shaky grip on power. USERF strongly supports efforts in Congress to strengthen pro-democracy support for Burma. The Burma United through Rigorous Military Accountability Act of 2022, better known as the Burma Act of 2022, authorizes the US government to target the SAC more effectively with sanctions and to engage with the opposition, the national unity government, and ethnic minorities to coordinate with international partners to do our parts to better guide Burma back on the path toward democracy and peace. In our 2023 annual report chapter on Burma, this report, USERF urged Congress and the administration to fully implement the Burma Act and to engage with the pro-democracy Burmese opposition, including the National Unity Government and ethnic armed organizations. Interlocutors and members of various Burmese communities have repeatedly expressed to USERF that a stable Burma, which fully realizes its international obligations to freedom of religion or belief, among other commitments, cannot emerge as long as the Burmese military, the Tatmadaw, remain involved in government and civilian affairs. Furthermore, we have heard from a number of religious communities that federalism, which would ensure significant autonomy to states, including those where ethnic and religious minorities constitute the majority, could provide a means for these minorities to better protect their religious freedom. But one thing remains certain. We must firmly condition any U.S. partnership and support with these entities on the restoration of the Rohingya citizenship and on full accountability for the Burmese military. As Burma has failed its Rohingya population time and time again since independence, now is the time to secure commitments from all opposition actors that a post-junta Burma, a post-Tatmadaw Burma, will restore Rohingya citizenship without delay, while at the same time pursuing justice and accountability for the many atrocities the current authorities have committed against that community. These principles are crucial to keep in mind as we focus today on atrocities that the Burmese authorities have committed against the country's Christian populations. After all, the Burmese military is clearly now employing the same tactics against Christians that it previously deployed against predominantly Muslim Rohingyas. And because of the inaction of the international community already enabling genocide against the Rohingya community, the Burmese military clearly believes that it has a free hand to further target other religious minorities such as the Chin and Kachin Christians. I conclude once again by asking the organizers of this, thanking the organizers of this opportunity, and I thank the panelists and all here today for their time and their attention and their testimony. I look forward to hearing from you all. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Ong Ja Mo. He is the Deputy Union Minister, Ministry of Human Rights with the National Unity Government.
Thank you for this timely, important event. My sincere appreciation goes to Chain Associations of Maryland and all other organizers for organizing this important event. Thank you for showing up, despite you might have other priorities. It's an honor to be speaking in this crucial congressional briefing. I'd like to start off by saying the beauty of the diversity of our country first. Burma is very, very diverse, both from ethnically, religiously, and culture, food, and so on. But we were not able to manage that diversity that's helped us to be strong. Instead, majority of those who are different from us took the opportunity to create conditions that direct the minority to be able not to survive with dignity, peace, and the life that they deserve. The country is made up of approximately 55 million people, where Christian minority is approximately 6%, very tiny. Yet, for many decades, it's not a new thing. Christian and other religious minorities, including Rohingya and other Muslims, has paid the highest cost in coming together, in the effort of holding the country together, meaning that the effort that we started for the pursuit of equal rights and things like that. the religious pluralism in Myanmar has always been under threat and being attacked by the successive regime, which we should be celebrating again as a beauty of or as a national fabric. And when it was Christian community, indeed, when we were coming together as a country, when British was leaving the legacy, the Christian and other minorities in Myanmar were integral part of those eras and hugely contributed to be taking independence from British and built this nation. Yet, when it's come to the right, dignity, and to be able to live as with a simple life, Christian for other minorities, it's again the price that they have been giving is very, very high. Since the coup attempt, 2021 February, the Christians and other minorities, particularly Christian, has paid significant cost. That is lives, livelihoods, churches, that also could be assumed as a cultural heritage for many Christian communities, which prove the existence of the Christian communities in different parts of Myanmar. These were intentional, systematic, and cohesive in attacking and in the efforts of. It just simply did not happen after the coup. There were velocity and momentum in the past successive military regimes era. And of course, in the Spring Revolutions that has not become not yet the history, it's going to be part of our history for the nations. Christians and religious minorities has contributed their part. They were not bystanders. And as a result, they suffered, or they have been suffering 3 times more than others. First, simply because they are Christian or Muslims or Rohingya. Second, for their political ideology and effort for fighting equality and things like that. And of course, you have heard in the news and have seen that religious leaders are being targeted, arrested, being killed. And these are not 1 or 2 incidents happening here and there. These are consistent, again, intentional and systematic. Why they could do that, the Burmese military? Because they had long enjoyed culture of impunity that they have committed in the past, including the crimes toward the Rohingya, which the United States determined as genocide. So, while the Christian and other minorities have been contributing to their part, of course, our government, National Unity Government, is one of the most diverse government that ever existed in the history of Myanmar. And I myself is a Rohingya. And since 1962, there were no ministerial positions being held by either Muslim or Rohingya for systematic exclusions politically. But like me, there are others, ministers in the cabinet from the Christian community, from Chin community. So this is kind of the country that we would like to see, that we are sitting together for making high-level decisions, shaping our future that's benefit for everyone, ensuring that the price that minority has been giving are being compensated and their voices are included in lawmaking process, in all the policy level decisions that impact their past, their present, and their future. According to the Chin human rights organizations, nearly 100 religious buildings, mostly churches, again, were destroyed. And so far, 200 religious buildings, including church, mosque, monasteries, like military that they claim they are Buddhist, But the Buddhism that I know doesn't support violence. So then, are they Buddhists? Or that's the determinations that we will have to make. So these, again, the destructions of the religious infrastructure has been systematic. The number that I was quoting come from systematic documentations that civil society organization has done in various parts of the country. And in 2022, on the Christmas Eve, 30 plus people were being killed in Kranji State. In a time that would be celebrating, or billion of the people on the earth would be sending blessing to one another, this horrific, inhuman act being committed toward the religious minority can be a coincidence. So I think, again, we all have a collective responsibility, first and foremost as human, to save the humanity. And of course, in the humanity we have different religions, and the religions should be as well promoting those values, first and foremost the humanity, and from a human, like we all are morally, I think, are obliged to be acting on such incidents. And the daily reality, I think, to the best of our knowledge, that Christian doesn't enjoy the same right. Human right violation is business as usual for a Christian and Rohingya and other Muslim minorities. And our brothers and sisters from Chin community and Christian community here sitting in this room are not migrant to this country. They are not regular economic migrants who were looking for making more money. They survived persecutions, discriminations, inhuman treatment for decades and decades in Myanmar, committed by the same military that's killing various other people in India. So this demonstrates the number of people across, alone in the United States, is not small. Why Christian alone? Or why Muslims followed by? That's meant that the crime that has been committed against them were unbearable. And of course, we would like to appreciate the United States government for determining genocides on the atrocities that took place to Rohingya, which could have been done earlier and saving lives. But it's done anyway. But then, of course, it doesn't end there. There are moral and legal obligations beyond the determinations. The expectations of the people of Burma went up after the determinations. So I think we'll need to use all the avenue and resource means available, tools available to push and shake to take the actions beyond the determinations. As previously mentioned by the previous speaker, to the Christian community as well, what has been happening? Simply those, you don't need to be a legal expert. It's amounts to crimes against humanity and war crimes, to what had happened in Chin State, Kranji, and also in Kachin State. And determining again is one thing, action after determinations is one thing. So we would like to urge again, please work and support that US government could take actions and could determine what has been happening to the Christian community as crimes against humanity and war crimes. Lastly, I would like to also say that the federal charter, that's the foundations of the effort of federal democracy that we all are building, and which Christian community are backbone as well, is an effort to make this country a secular country where our religions are being separated from the politics, and our rights are being granted by the constitutions. And the National Unity Government is, again, working by putting that federal charter at the center, and we're also working to abolish the 1982 citizenship law that particularly target the religious minority, including the Rohingya. And we are going to be developing something that's fit with the universal democratic value and principle that we are preaching around the world to support us. And the current law, of course, as you know, does not, it goes against the democratic value, and it's being designed by the dictators Ne Win to persecute religious minority and ethnic minority. And followed by that, the related laws like national safeguard laws that target the religious minority is also in the process of abolishment. So what we need from international community, particularly the United States, is continue to support the democratization effort. The religious minority will not be free if Burma itself is not in the hand of civilian government. And the junta need to be taken from actions that the bullets that they are buying, the jets that they are flying to drop the bombs on the churches required financial resource. So we want US government to go beyond sanctions and block all the financial aid that flow to the junta, to disable them, to fly and drop the bombs on the church and religious. Second, the legitimacy that we need to use all the avenues and means, tools, that junta does not represent the people of Myanmar, and they are not legitimate, and they attempted to carry out coup, that they are not able to act as a government in a smaller scale. And we, National Unity Government, is winning every day because we have people behind us, and we are in the process of building the governance systems that promote democratic values, transparency, accountabilities, and we need your support to delegitimize the junta. The third, ending the cycle of impunity and holding them accountable. So the international justice system somehow is a slow process, but actions followed in a, like sometimes the perpetrators may not be alive, but you know, that's the reality, unfortunately, that we live. So like case in the International Court of Justice need to be supported in order to hold these criminals accountable, as well as the case in the ICC need to be supported by the countries like US and other allies. If we are able to do this, and of course the velocity and accelerations of the revolutions will be higher, and then we will be able to provide a safer, equal right for all the religious minorities. So I end my remark, which took longer than I expected. Thank you so much.
Our next presenter will be Jas Zaw, spokesperson of the President's Office with the National Unity Government.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for the all organizer and commissioner and all participants here. My name is Joe Zaw. I'm the spokesperson for the President's Office of the National Unity Government and UG. I'm honored to be here with our friends here, brothers and sisters here. I will brief my presentation, and as you know, we are here because of the atrocities against the religious minority in Burma. The successive military dictators have targeted Christian communities and other religious communities in Burma for decades, as you know. Since the military attempted coup in February 1st, 2021, the Myanmar military junta increasingly targeted religious communities, taking the Christian as one of their targets, same as the military did to the Muslims during 2017 ROHINGYA crisis. They destroyed religious facilities. They arrested, tortured, even killed religious leaders. Most of the devastation happened in areas of strong resistance against the military forces. That's including ethnic regions where the majority of Christians live. For example, Chin State, Karen State, Karenni State. Unfortunately, attacks on the religious facilities and religion doubled in 2022 from 2021. I just want to give you that example that from the frontier Myanmar. And the title, the Myanmar soldiers saying that you must all die. That means they refer to the religious minority in the Rakhine region called Bayenji. Portuguese descendants and Bayenji Christian communities in the Rakhine region are being targeted because of their faith. Actually, the Catholic Christians arrived in Burma since early 1500, at the time Portuguese arrived to today's Burma. Portuguese served as the Burmese king as a Kenyan soldiers. In 1630, the Burmese king gave the Portuguese a final settlement in today's called Rakhine region. Since then, they peacefully coexisted with Burma Buddhist majority till today. But as many across Burma, military burned down churches, villages, schools. Unfortunately, one of the churches that they recently burned down was built in 1894, the Assumption of Mary Church in Rakhine region. That's where the Bayenji Catholic Christians live. And as mentioned by member of the local Christian resistance forces, the military knows that religious buildings can shelter people, so they usually destroy them wherever they go. I'm not going to detail about how they destroy. As other speakers mentioned, religious facilities are targeted across Burma. And over two and a half years, about 200 religious facilities were burned down. Almost half of them in Chin State, where the Christian majority lives. And now, second region is the Rakhine region, as I mentioned. The Chin States, we have about 85 or close to 90, the religious facilities were destroyed. In the Rakhine region, 50 of them mostly are Buddhist monasteries, and now also the historic Christian churches. Not only the Christian and Buddhist, but also during these 2.5 years, they destroyed Muslim mosques as well. And as mentioned by International Convention of Jurists briefing paper, again, similarly, between February 2021 and April 2023, around 90 religious sites were destroyed and ransacked. And I have a graphic things. And of course, almost 50% of the religious facilities are Christian, and more than half of them are Buddhist monasteries. So they don't discriminate religion, killing or destroying the religion. Basically, there is no freedom of religion in Burma today. As mentioned, they arrested, tortured, and killed religious leaders between December 2021 and May 2022. Almost 120 religious leaders were arrested. 77 of them are Buddhist monks, 38 of them are Christian leaders, and 3 of them are Muslim priests. And they killed 41 religious leaders. The root cause, successive military dictators. That's the root cause. As long as military dictatorships in Burma, there will be no religious freedom. They will keep killing and destroying religious properties, facilities, and culture and history. What do we need to do? What do we need? We need, people of Burma need practical support. That's mean providing the practical support to the pro-democracy groups such as National Unity Government, NUG, and ethnic arms organizations to end this brutal military dictatorship. How can United States and international community help? United States can provide effective, meaningful support, such as material, financial, technical, or non-lethal assistance, humanitarian aids, and transitional justice, as mentioned in the Burma Act, in coordination with NUG and ethnic groups on the ground. And the United States government and international community could impose stronger sanctions, coordinated sanctions against the Burmese military to cut off their financial resources. For example, their number one revenue generated source, Myanmar Oil and Gas Enterprise, MOGE, hasn't touched by the United States. As the Commissioner mentioned, the Burma Act authorized the United States authorities to impose taking the stronger actions against the brutal military. That MOGE should be the one of them. And yes, we really appreciate imposing the suppliers of the jet fuel suppliers, but they will still find a way to buy the jet fuels and find a way to, most effective way, for example, deny the insurance, the companies to deny the insurance premium to the ships that who carry the jet fuels to Burmese regime. Simple as it. So again, yeah, we greatly appreciate the United States and international community support, but there's many more things that can be done to support the people of Burma, especially to the religious communities, and especially as I mentioned at the beginning, the Christian community is one of the targeted since the coup. And now half of the religious facilities that destroyed are Christian facilities, and all the historic facilities. So again, thank you so much for being here, and then also that God bless you all. Thank you.
Now we'd like to invite Reverend Ali. He's the General Secretary of the Kachin Baptist Churches USA.
I'm Reverend Ali, pastor of Maryland Kachin Baptist Church, and also General Secretary of Kachin Baptist Churches USA. I would like to talk about the Reverend Dr. Kalam Samson, who is a Kachin Christian leader who faced persecution by military gender. Dr. Samson is former president of Kachin Baptist Convention and General Secretary of Kachin Baptist Convention. As a leader in the struggle for the minority rights and religious freedom in Burma, Reverend Dr. Kalam Samson met with the former President Donald Trump and Barack Obama. Most recently, he was part of a religious freedom delegation to the White House in July 2019. On his return to Burma, Reverend Dr. Kalam Samson faced threats of legal action from the military junta. After military coup, the Tamato once again targeted Reverend Dr. Kalam Samson on December 5, 2022. They arrested him at Mandalay International Airport on his way to Bangkok for medical treatment. The military interrogated him at the Central Region Military Headquarters and stopped his wife from providing medicine. On April 7, 2023, the Mijinnar Prison Court in Kachin State sentenced Reverend Dr. Kalam Samson to 6 years in prison on false charges of unlawful association, incitement, and terrorism. In prison, Kalam Samson's health condition continued to deteriorate. It is just one example. And as an ethnic and religious minority, the Kachin people have faced persecution for many years. Attacks are getting worse. Last year on October 23rd, 2022, the military bombing of the outdoor concert in Kachin State killed 80 civilians, including 2 pastors. This is one of the worst airstrikes since military coup in February in Myanmar. Military army deliberately conduct mass killing. These attacks are war crimes against humanity. We need accountability. We need the end to military gender. We need Congress and administration to help us. Thanks.
Next will be the Executive Director of the Chin Association of Maryland, Zo Tum Pong.
Good afternoon, and thank you everyone attending this briefing. Last year, the Biden administration determined that the atrocities against Rohingyas are genocide and crimes against humanity. We welcome this action. We seek a determination that the attacks on Christians also constitute war crimes and crimes against humanity. This would help put more pressure on the military, also known as the Tatmadaw, to end its violence against minority religions. Burma is a majority Buddhist country of approximately 57 million people. Only 6% of the population is Christian. However, many ethnic minority religions in the country, such as Chin, Kachin, Guarani, are largely Christian. Chin state is the only majority Christian state at 85%. This means that religious and ethnic persecution by the military go together. According to the International Commission of Justice, the Tatmadaw has destroyed or damaged at least 87 Christian places of worship since 2021. Even though the Tatmadaw claims to respect Buddhism, their brutal war against their own people has led them to destroy and occupy many Buddhist pagodas and monasteries. The military has also destroyed other minority religious buildings. We have produced 4 reports since 2021 military coup. In February of this year, I had the opportunity to testify before the USAF hearing on Burma. In March of this year, I traveled to India and met with Chin pastors in the India-Burma border area who fled to Mizoram state of India. I would like to talk about the town of Thantlang, Chin state. Thantlang town is only 20 miles away from my native village, Zepai. The military has destroyed 21 churches out of 22 churches. They also destroyed or burned down nearly 13 residences, displacing the entire population of 10,000. Some of them are in the Indo-Burma border area, and some of them have been taking refuge in India. These churches include a Methodist church, Presbyterian church, a Catholic church, Pentecostal church, Baptist church, and etc. These atrocities constitute war crimes and crimes against humanity. These atrocities against Christians in Burma constitute crimes against humanity. In Chin state, we have seen a large increase in airstrikes against the civilian population. The Chinland information records dozens of airstrikes this year alone. From January through April, the military dropped 236 bombs in Chin State. Came documented and issued statements condemning these atrocities. For example, on March 30th this year, an airstrike on Kofo village killed 8 and destroyed 2 churches. On April 10, the military bombed Waibula village and killing 9, including a retired pastor. On April 27, an airstrike on Klanglo village killed 2 civilians and destroyed 3 churches. On May, an airstrike on Malsom village in Hakka Township destroyed the Malsom Baptist Church. On August 12, an airstrike on Ramklo village destroyed the Ramklo Baptist Church. On August 14, the military fired on the historic Hakka Baptist Church compound built by American Baptist missionaries, damaging the senior pastor's home. This is why the United States should join the EU in sanctioning Myanmar oil and gas enterprises, known as MOGE. MOGE has over $1 billion annual revenue, which funds the Tamators and its Air Force. The atrocities against Christians happen in other states and other regions as well. For example, in November 2022, in Sakang region, the military burned down hundreds of homes, a church, and a school in the historic village of Mongha. This was the hometown of Cardinal Charles Mongbo of Yangon and Archbishop Marco Tingwei of Mandalay. The President Office spokesperson mentioned about the burning of the 129-year-old Catholic Assumption Church in the village of Chanta in January of 2023. Now we will play a video by the Chin Post on the Klanglo attack.
跟前面的跟前旁边边的，你了他的，好的样的没个事，你还个不得好。
ada chimpo zara kan zautu nim dilak nim kan tlai than na ani ni April ni kulin sri ase atu kan phak mak ni tang lo khose atu na in thai jeman to khan ra sang ni ja phai dron mangin tang lo kho ka bom na thak e atu he tang lo kho in lo chai la ro ke chuka kan phak le se atu kan ngui na bom hu mi ke tang lo kho ra sang bom ka thak nak ke se atu eka minung na bom hu mi na he kho mi an sin hai kho mi le ko ching chan theu kan sin hai atu he in lo ro mi le mi ai kem phoi mi chun nun na aliam ni minung tak na an thim to hal yo se eka kamai kan bom hu mi he voi khat nak cham bom na thak nak atak nak hun ka se eka mun na bom khat kha ta e thu zong ya thu ngai chu chu eka mun na ta mi ni eka kam kam hu mi in po ki arok di hi nam bam hu mi in pakhat ase kha in pakhat kha arok di ai tek di zai man kha atu ai song sang lo ge pen bu o mi se la tu nam bam hu man to kin chunga fa chang le an thiri zai mo kha ka ta pa kan rolo pi si ka atu he ke tikin jam fa chang zo ka la ho ta ti lo ke tikin ai tek di bam hu se chu chu ka in vial te zong he atu na in gam ban ren in kul reng lo kha in rock ni kan ban ko se chu chu ni ka in vial te zong he atuna in kan ban ren in kul reng lo kha in rock ni kan ban mu e chu chu ni ka vial te hi arok di mi ka se la bom pa ni na ke ki ka akwar zo na kin thak ti khan hi ka atu kan ban ko ni se la chu ka thak na kun chu ban kan lai khoi ni na athak na kun ka se hi ra sang ni ban long in ar thak ten hi pathum le a chieu ko wa khan simla pathum le chieu ko wa khan athak ka se zan le simla pathum le chieu from nga le hi ka mun na hi in nom mu mi hi ka mun hi in pakat adiyek nak se hi in pakat zong hi hu kum ti lo a taw di chun atu ti ka thai nga min pa ni an nun na min pa ni an nun na ka liam min se ma chu chu ti na kun cho hi ka mun zo nan se ka mun zo te a hin an pakhat ka zam nan lowen an na ka liam na kun te ka se ma chun he ka mun te ni pakhat ka an na ka liam ve minung pat ni an na ka tu te an liam min se la in he tu te na chun presbyterian bia kan te in kul reng lo a ro ke in a rok ning zong ni a fak ngai a bom thak mi a liam la ti kha phiền chia sẻ để trả tiền ai in rock ninh hi còn lại bác ăn thạc ấy cho bông không in here thì ai check đi ngay chia tắc xí ra sang này cái mi phun cái tua tông ninh hi dễ phun cái đã phát thì khá anh hình ra hình mu khó xí anh luôn chỉ mình ra pro forward bom cái thạc nó webula bom cái thạc thôi tu hi cái thạc nó thang tu tiền ra sang cái này cái dấu xí chun mi bivia để thi na sẽ thì ruộng nạc in bom makan thak mi city he pu khose chu cha chun ram ki bum mi chim mi bini he ka ha tong mi tang lo phu mi he kan zo bu na hawi chu chun hi kan tok thna ka hin kan tha jang a thot china ma khau ti ka ka chim bu du ma he bi kan nam hu mi he presbyterian bi kan se tu nam hu nam to kin ai rok ning cha se bi kan baptist bi kan believer church bi kan presbyterian bi kan he Iraq misi hichuma hin atunum bammu mi presbyterian biakin hi afak misi yatunum bammu man token hi adi zoma choi apam zoma choi hi hi
Thank you. Now I would like to invite Pastor Van Thakam Tham to speak. Pastor is a native of this Talo village.
Hello, my name is Van Thakam Tham. As Buddha Tumpung mentioned earlier, I'm a native born of Danglo villager, where the building you saw where the second body was found was my grandpa's house, where I was born and where my father was born. And I'm here to speak on behalf of the villagers. About 500 of them were the total number of the village, and about 300 of them were fled to one of the nearby town called Fargon, which is part of the Mizoram, and about 120 of them, like the strong, more able men, are waiting in the village and rebuilding all the houses. And as you can see, most of the houses are uninhabitable, so they have to stay there and do the rebuilding process. Thank you for this opportunity, and I'd like to say thank you to Buddha Tumhung for this invitation. And I hope that the U.S. government and international community will do more in holding accountable for this military regime. And I hope that this briefing will have an impact for this future endeavor in holding Burmese military accountable. Thank you.
Now I would like to invite Makin. Makin is a native of Bako. Her mother and sister were killed during the time.
Yeah, she's a little nervous right now, so please do understand. And I'll go ahead and translate what she's going to say. And I'm the oldest daughter of hers. Okay. She said, my name is Makin, and I'm currently living in Indianapolis in Indiana. And I apologize in advance if I said something wrong.
Zuet in Zan Nazipa Nilatil from a can bomb cat.
The military had bombed Kwafo village on March 30th. United States time, it's going to be 2 p.m., approximately 2 p.m. on March 30th, 2023. During that incident happened, my mom and my younger sisters are also included. When the bomb was dropped, 9 people killed instantly and then 10 people are wounded.
Bomb can Kofoka attack Tanle in Liero Tan, Biak in Leg, Pastor in Hekan, Azatia in Kulenglaus.
When the first bomb was dropped, 14 houses were destroyed, and on the second, on August 14, they dropped another bomb and destroyed 20 houses, and including 2 churches and 1 pastor house. The other villagers who are not wounded or they flee to the neighbor village, and one can be Mizoram and the others are just in jungles or recently, she also lost her dad. It's after months of hospitalized. What happened to her mom and the younger sister? He was in grieving and he committed suicide. When that happened on June 30th, he committed suicide. I'm here today on behalf of my village, and I ask you to bring awareness of atrocity that is happening in Burma. And thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
As we heard from the testimonies of Pastor Tang and Makin, the military has escalated the atrocities against Christians with airstrikes on civilians. We need help from the US. We need accountability. We call for the Biden administration to determine these atrocities are war crimes and crimes against humanity. We call again for the US to join the EU in sanctioning MOT. Thank you. Thank you again for joining us this briefing. Thank you to the spokespersons of the President's office and the Minister and everyone. As you see our title, our briefing title, Escalating Atrocities Against Christians in Burma. We are urging the Biden administration to determine the atrocities against Christians constitute war crimes. The atrocities against Christians constitute crimes against humanity. And then the second one, join the EU, sanction on MOGE. And that's quite simple, that's very clear. Join EU on sanctioning MOGE. I think that would be very helpful to our cause and our movement. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Thanks to our panel, and thank you for all of your contributions. We're dismissed.